I'm Mary. I am the teacher and founder here at Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center. And today I have with me the lovely and beautiful and handsome Naafie.
Hey.
So you operate as a spiritual counselor known as the Hip Hop Magi.
Uh-huh.
His website is perceptionovereverything.com. And this is something that I think is going to be very interesting and different as a spiritual concept for a lot of you. I think a lot of you see spirituality from the kind of genres that we've been in, where we are looking at psychics, mediums, even healers. But here we have a whole different element involved of artistry. And there's a lot here. So tell us about perception over everything. What does that mean, first off?
So perception over everything to me is what one of my older mentors called the eye of investigation observation, or for those watching, it's the eye that interprets what you see in reality. Okay. So I believe that how you see life is how you treat life. So I think that through interpreting our life differently, we can then live a different life. So perception over everything really is just about seeing your life and yourself as clearly as possible, because when you see yourself clearly, that means you can see your world clearly. So I have a tagline, POE the gang, and we'll get into why that I use that specifically. But it is just this idea that we need to see and define our reality with the highest possible outcome, rather than kind of trashing ourselves or being overly negative. There's nothing wrong with recognizing the shadow self, but that ultimately can't be the direction you're going, which I think is the big thing, not only when it comes to spirituality, but just humanity in general. It's time for us to quite literally shift our perspective and to look at the highest possible things and stop feeding so much into the negative. It's there, we get it, it's cool, it's not cool, but it's there.
It can be.
Yeah, right. It's we recognize it. So now that we recognize it, how are we going to move forward? Mm-hmm.
So this is really like about a mindset. It's an entire mindset.
Yes.
Because when I first heard perception over everything years ago from you, especially because of the logo and everything, I was thinking like third eye space.
Yes.
Like I got that it was mind and cerebral and kind of third eye, but the way you describe it, it's almost like an assemblage point. It's just your point of perception.
That's it.
Your mindset, how you talk to yourself, what you think about the world around you, and really bringing yourself into positivity and growth, moving towards the vibration you want to be.
Exactly.
Well, then what is POE the gang then?
So POE the gang was my way of transmuting the gang energy. If you know anything about America, we with the gangsterism and all of these other things. That's pushed onto us. But it was my way of showing those people who are in that lifestyle something different. So in my head, I was like, hey, okay, if you want to bang a gang or be in a gang, POE the gang. What do we bang? Truth. Divine truth, right? So that right, like, and that was just my way of saying, hey, if y'all want to, go so hard for something that is going to destroy you, why not transmute that into something that's positive? And hey, if you can go hard for the truth, that means you're going to live in righteousness, stand up for your community, things of that nature. So that was really and I tried to change it at one point. I was like, I ain't going to use it as much. I got to mature. It didn't.
So no maturing for you.
It didn't go. Like people see me and it stuck so much. They're like, yo, man, that phrase, POE the gang, it sticks with, people come to me and say that. Like, and I'm,
it became the catchphrase.
It became the thing. So I'm glad for that, and I hope that phrase itself can just help people transmute.
But I like that, because what it does is it ties in the community. It's saying, yes, we're looking at the truth, spirituality, this positivity, but we are making this a group effort. Like, come on in, we've got each other's backs, we can do this together. And you started mentioning a little bit about urban life and things like that. Do you want to expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I am someone who I'm a hip hop artist primarily, MC, a poet, and hip hop is a big part of who I am, what I do, my story. Hip hop, I think, is one of the main things responsible for me being self-aware in general. So I really wanted to infuse that into the spiritual space in a much more healthy way. That was the original purpose of hip hop, but it got lost due to capitalism. Capitalism kind of strips things of its roots so that it can resell it to you. And I wanted to essentially have a more palatable way for specifically the melanated community and urban communities to get into their own spiritual practices that aren't necessarily tied to a specific religion. Don't get me wrong, like there's Christian rappers, you know what I mean? So even within what hip hop really is, because rap music is not the same as hip hop, and we're gonna get into that. You can still have an openness of culture, and that I think that's really what has molded me into the artist that I am, the person that I am, is understanding that even though we went through these situations, there is gifts at the end of it. Of course, we're in the healing space, right? So we know that working through the shadow, we get to the light at the end of the tunnel, so to say. So I think hip hop is the vehicle in which we can do that. We just need to understand its spiritual foundations in order to do so.
And religion is very different from spirituality.
Yes.
Anyway, so having a spiritual rap outlet would be very different than having just like a religious rap outlet.
Right.
Getting deeper into one of the little things that you said about, I think you said it as like exploitation of the hip hop. Mm-hmm. You said one little sentence in there about exploitation or how hip hop has been exploited. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
So hip hop originally was never supposed to be about the negativity that's being pushed through the music. Okay. Hip hop's main goals is peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. Who don't want that? I don't know if getting super drunk and doing all these drugs and all of these gangster type energies is peace, love, unity, or safely having fun. You know what I mean? So what happened was in the 80s, they saw the power of hip hop to influence based on its elements, which are elements of psychology and things of that nature. They saw that power and said, hey, we can use this to make money.
Who's they?
Companies.
Okay. Like recording art companies and things
yeah,
like
recording companies, people that, they're people in businesses that see, hey, there's a business opportunity here. How can we capitalize on this? They capitalize on it. They used to go to certain urban communities and just grab people and give them record deals and,
I see.
use the artists to essentially sell their products,
I see.
Which is still happening today. Mm-hmm. Most artists, even when they get to a certain point, they end up just being the poster child for a product.
But most of the rappers, you said it's supposed to be about unity and having fun. Do not most of these rappers write their own music?
No.
So these are ghostwriters?
Yeah, because
I think that's a common misconception is that when we hear someone singing something or rapping something, we think that those are their thoughts and feelings. And so much of it is inundated with anger or sexuality or things like that. And I did hear someone say one time, you know what? We're talking about Cardi B. Let's put Cardi B in here.
Hey, yo, I mean, listen, and Cardi, I don't want to single out names because even though we might say a particular name, their story, we don't know their story. They have a history, and I want to get to the point about those types of artists because they're selected, right? Mm-hmm. These are people where they already have a particular path. Mm-hmm. And that's why certain artists make it and certain artists don't make it because these artists already are on the trajectory of what they want to sell. So it's easier to do that, let alone, again, going back to the writing thing, they understand that by having certain, I guess you could say, artists, or having a certain infrastructure around artistry in general, that it, okay, we can have someone that has the image. If they can't write the lyrics, we'll find somebody to write the lyrics, and then we'll do this, put it out this way, and, sell what it is we want to sell, perpetuate whatever it is we want to perpetuate.
I see.
Yeah.
And where we were going with that was the peace, love, unity thing versus a lot of the undertones of anger, things like that. And the reason I brought up Cardi B, it's not about her specifically. Yeah. It's just she's a very open, free-speaking kind of rapper that shocks people sometimes.
Yeah.
And I actually heard somebody say, you know what, if she wants to be that way, let her. If she wants to talk about those things, let her. She is a woman of color, and nobody has been more suppressed in America than women of color. And so a lot of these undertones that I'm talking about are actually just where these people have not been allowed to express or to own things, where a lot of this is about money. It's because we have unhealed ancestral wounds where no one was allowed to have money or own lands or things like that. And so these are the things that we're seeing in a lot of the music. Mm-hmm. And if they want to rap about that in their music, let them have it, as far as I'm concerned, because it's showing a progression to healing.
Right.
I know that some of this can be like angry, but it's part of the process. It's
because
the
it's the growing pains. Mm-hmm. And really, they kind of have to do it in a sense, because if we didn't have them, how would we know the opposite? Even more so, I came up with this a couple weeks ago, but it's very similar to how drugs kind of move throughout communities, right? People did that because they had no choice. If you understand the struggles of a lot of people in America, most of the times they're doing that, and they're just doing it because they know that this is going to put food on the table. Mm-hmm. So, and if this is all they know, then of course they're going to do that. Let alone the fact that once they get in these positions, they begin to have an awareness that I don't know if this is right, but again, this is what's paying the bills. So there's that push and tug with certain artists. They may not necessarily like the conditions that they're in as far as their contracts and things like that. So it's different for everybody. You can't blanket this, but all I can do as someone who is a part of the hip hop culture is say, hey, this is what hip hop was founded on. I would like to do the things that the culture is founded on. And,
I really like that polarity of it.
Yeah.
It's like this kind of hip hop and rap is needed so people know the struggle, so that we can grow, so we can heal. But let's go ahead and add some Naafie here, where we're really bringing in the love, the positivity, the truth, the higher vision. And now let's combine these and make it really big. Now let's shine that light into this space and make it something unified again and loving again.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm excited. I got chills.
Exactly. I love it.
So what exactly, okay, so you said hip hop is supposed to be based on this. What exact is there like a definition or a story of how hip hop came about, or rap, how that came about and what it means?
The story of hip hop is very long, because there's so many moving parts. Hip hop is coming out of the tail end of Marcus Garvey passing, on the passing of, not Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, I apologize. It's coming on the passing of Malcolm X, it's coming on the passing of Martin Luther King. There's a lot of those things. So we're talking late 60s, early 70s, when hip hop, or what the beginnings of it is starting to come about. A man by the name of DJ Kool Herc, he wanted to throw a party for his sister. So because of that, he used to go to the community center at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, in the Bronx. He used to have a party for his sister, and that party then sprang onto the street. From the street, then it basically became what we know as hip hop. The DJ is the one who really kind of started that through DJ Kool Herc. He pretty much just started the culture through just a party for his sister, and us wanting to just have fun and freely express ourselves through a lot of the things that we were going through at these different time periods. So again, remembering that hip hop kind of started towards the tail end of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, segregation just ended. There's a lot of integration, a lot of community blending. Like, a lot of people think that hip hop is just like a quote unquote black thing. No, all races were present during the start of hip hop. So many different cultures were involved in that it's not a one-sided thing. There's so many there's so many moving parts to it, but that's essentially the gist of it. It was literally meant, we were upset as a community, so we wanted to express that and we wanted to unify, and hip hop was one of the ways that we did that. So
I feel that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say that I feel a lot of joy in hip hop, but I think that that's just what it opens in me, because the reality is that it's about voice. There's no way that you can perform or engage in hip hop quietly. It is about beats and drums and voices and dance, and there's so much to it that it's not small, it's not little, it's not quiet, it's not closeted, and that's the point. Talking about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all of these people who are actually raising their voice and making a sound and expressing themselves, and that gives me joy.
Yeah.
So I really like that a lot.
And it's just as multidimensional as we are, and it's always been about self-expression. It's always been about speaking the truth and unifying. Like, if you, I can't remember the specific name of the parties that used to go on in the Bronx and things of that nature. And my dad was actually there. Like, he, they have something called the Anthology of Hip Hop. My dad was actually in one of the pictures that is in the Anthology of Hip Hop. So he was quite literally there for the birth of it, and it was just a thing that we did in the community that, again, companies saw they could make some money, so they put their capitalism to it, and it became what we know as today. And if a lot of artists don't understand that, then it's hard to be connected to it outside of, I'm just going to use this to make money because I have a skill. Yeah.
And how does that fall in with what we would define rap as?
So rap is an acronym. It's rhythm and poetry. And therefore, so the principles of hip hop are peace, love, joy, and unity. Simple. The elements, the ways that we express it, there's 8 primary ways, but the main elements are graffiti writing, DJing, MCing, and breaking or breakdancing. So rap is divine speech, divine poetry. How long poetry been around on the planet? How long has prose and rhythmic speech and those type of, how long has that been on how long has that been a part of humanity? So rap is that put to beats, and also, when we talk about jazz and blues and things of that nature, all of those things also play into us as what we call ourselves hip hoppers. So we are those who practice the hip hop culture, not just rap. Rap is the skill. Hip hop is the culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So rap music is
kind of falls in the umbrella of
hip hop,
the whole culture.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Rap music is an aspect of hip hop, the culture.
So you are talking about graffiti and breakdancing. Now rap is divine expression.
Yes.
Or divine words. What are these other ones?
So graffiti writing is in that community they call it bombing and tagging. So they used to tag the sides of trains, letting people know who they are, what they represent, etc. So although they've tried to make it gang related, it was never gang related. It was about expressing themselves in an urban inner city community where all they see is gray buildings and brick and all of that. So hey, we're going to take these spray cans and we're going to express ourselves on the trains and on buildings and things like that. So this is where you kind of get that graffiti-esque type of style where the bold letters and all these different things like that. Breaking or breakdancing is just dance, you know. This is, you know, the spinning on the head and the
I'm gonna learn how to do that, guys. I'll get back to you.
If she do it, yo, I'm cool. She got it. So that's essentially what breaking was. And then DJing, or, you know, taking songs that are already present and blending them together to, you know, dance or create a mood or etc. You know, that's no different than, you know, blending herbs or, you know,
I
cooking.
had this image when you were talking about tagging.
Mm-hmm.
You said they would. The imagery that I got, it was almost like a vision. It was like everything was not 3D. It was liquid, and it was as if they were claiming themselves.
Exactly.
Taking themselves out of past trauma and saying, this is my identity, and imprinting it into the world.
That is exactly what it is. So even when artists create that name for themselves, it gave us an opportunity to grow past our circumstances. So, great example, and you know, this is where I learned a lot of my teaching from, KRS-One. Everybody knows who that is. Whoop, whoop, that's the sound of the police. You know what I mean? That is, you know, Chris Parker doesn't sound so Chris Parker, but knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. You know, or for myself in my journey, Nate the Great, not just Nathaniel Jolly, you know what I mean? Or Nate Jolly, which during the period of my journey, I did adopt that because I wanted to be myself, right? I didn't want to be a persona. I wanted to be who I am. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be this Nate the Great fake character thing. I want to be myself.
I really like Nate the Great.
Everyone did, but I grew. The journey just didn't pave that way, and then
maybe that was your maturation process.
Yeah. And then over time, I eventually decided to go by my middle name, which is Naafie. So again, same concept. It's once I understood that names had meaning, I was like, yo, I'm gonna go by my middle name because it has this such significant meaning. So that's
what does it mean?
So it's one of the 99 names of God in Islam. It means the propitious, which is prosperous, basically. The benefactor, the bringer of good. So I bring good things. Literally.
I like that.
That's literally what it means.
I love that a lot. So all of this talk about rap and hip hop, and you've been known as the Hip Hop Magi. Mm-hmm. What do you do? I'm telling people your brand about perception over everything and POE the gang, but what do you do when they come to the Hip Hop Magi? What is happening? What do they get?
So I'm essentially a spiritual counselor, a cardologist, which that kind of contextualizes it a little bit more. Those who practice cardology traditionally were known as Magi. Something called, there's this organization called the Order of the Magi, who essentially hold on to yet another group on the planet that holds secrets of humanity and how we have really, you know, some of how we operate as humans. They have signs, symbols, and just practices that hold that. The playing cards is where that kind of meets. So I'm a practicing cardologist, still learning. I'm not gonna say I'm still learning.
No, but you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah,
it's not like he just picked it up recently. No, you've been doing this for years and years.
Yeah.
I think that's your humbleness saying that's absolutely your humbleness saying I'm still learning, because we're all still learning as we go. We learn until the day we die, but you have been doing this for a long time, and I think you've almost kind of coined it. I know you haven't, because there's this whole group, but I don't know anybody. I don't know any reader, any psychic, any tarot reader who just reads a plain deck of cards.
Yeah.
I don't myself know anybody who does that but you.
Because it's not like, there's beauty in simplicity. One of the great things about, of course, tarot, oracle decks, and things like that is the imagery allows you to pull what it is that you need for the message. But when it comes to playing cards, the simplicity of it gives you more for me, it gives me a lot more clarity. I found that sometimes using too many tools can give you an over reliance on that physical thing instead of sourcing from your intuition first.
Right.
So along with that, I love cardology, which is, for those, I'm saying cardology, but it's essentially astrology using playing cards. I love cardology because there are specific mathematical calculations that give you like cards and placements and things, very similar to how astrological charts work, as well as being able to intuit while doing so. So it blends the both. Yeah.
Whoa. You said astrology using playing cards.
Yes.
Astrology, isn't this like the placement of the planets and things like...
Yeah. Okay, so...
Act like I am too.
Okay, so let's say... Okay, so I have a standard deck. So before we even get to, I guess, let's say a reading, per se, I think the association with the cards is very important. Everybody knows what a deck of playing cards is. I'm not going to explain that. There's 4 suits, there are 4 seasons, 4 elements.
Okay, all right.
There are 52 cards in the standard deck of playing cards. So keeping that in mind. If you add the major arcana and the knight of each suit, you get 78, which is the amount in a tarot deck.
Okay.
These plot twists, if people don't know, those were the original form of card divination. Tarot came after. So take a jewel, put it in your pocket.
Keep going. No, it's funny because I just had this memory of being 14, 15 years old, and I used to play solitaire, but I was doing readings for my brother, on his love life by how the suits came out while I was playing solitaire. So that just like sparked in my mind that this actually is a thing that like we naturally know how to do.
It's interesting, right? Tarot, people are naturally, some though who don't know or unaware, haven't rediscovered their own divinity. They're afraid of playing cards. They're afraid, no, not playing cards. They're afraid of tarot cards. They're like, oh my God, that's the devil and all of this other things. But we naturally gravitate towards playing cards, not realizing that they have a divine nature as well. So there's 52 cards in the deck. There's 52 weeks in the year. 5 plus 2 is 7. There's 7 weeks. There's 13 cards in each suit. There's 13 lunar cycles.
My brain just exploded.
So you have the Jack, the King, and the Queen.
Yeah.
The Jack represents the child. The Queen represents feminine energy. The King represents masculine energy. So all of the, and each suit has a particular meaning. So in order, hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. I sum it up through matters of the heart, matters of the mind, matters of the body, matters of the soul.
Okay.
The associations between the suits and tarot are very much so the same. So, for example, the 5 of spades, it has arguably the same meaning as the 5 of wands. So, and I know that through knowing what each tarot card means, as well as knowing what each playing card means. So both like the correlations and the synchronicities between all of this is really interesting. In such a very simple tool that I don't think again, perception is everything, right? That's so.
So the spades and the wands, what is that a matter of?
It's matters of the soul.
The soul.
So that inner fire, the creativity, all things that bring you to life, right? All those are matters of the soul.
Where do the elementals fit in?
So hearts is water.
Okay.
Clubs is air. Diamonds is earth.
Mind.
Yep.
Okay.
So earth, so matters of the body.
Yeah.
And then fire, which is
soul.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Because I do have a deck that it's actually a tarot deck, but instead of the suits, it does elementals, and I connect with that so much more easily than I do with traditional tarot. Mm-hmm. And so this is just bringing a whole new spin where I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's all and this is a sidebar to the perception thing. the only difference between what you think you know is just how you're looking at it. So my dad had a quote where he said, knowledge is infinite. Because it is. Knowledge to me is the connection between all things. There's infinite connections because infinite universe, multidimensional. So these types of correlations between not only the deck of playing cards, but also when we're talking about astrology and all of these things, anyone who's spiritual know, or anyone who is in tune and aware knows that the deeper you go, the more connected things get. So, yeah.
So, I think the numerology part might be. So I love the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and the inner child. Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah. Adore that. So each number also has a different meaning. Same with tarot.
Yep.
I think that's the hard part for me reading tarot, is knowing what each number actually means. Mm-hmm. I think the 8 is pretty easy for me because we're talking about infinity symbols and things like that.
Creation and destruction.
Okay.
Yep.
That's even
simple.
Duality. That's even a polarity there. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course I can kind of do like 1s and 2s and 3s because you're looking at oneness, duality, the rising out of duality being the observer, the witness. Mm-hmm. So how does numerology reflect in the numbers, how you do it? Because I don't actually math this way.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what that means.
A part of my spiritual foundation was being a part of the Nation of Gods and Earths. It's also known as the 5 Percenters. And they have a teaching known as the Supreme Mathematics. So it is essentially numerology, but they use their numbers to help people of color remember their own divinity. So, but what I found through my research is that how the 5% nation translates the numbers is the same as how numerology translates the numbers. So it's very interesting. So in order, number 1 is knowledge. 2 is wisdom.
Okay.
3 is understanding. 4 is culture or freedom. So if you think about the number 4, it's a stable number. There's 4 corners to the room. There's 4 squares, stability, culture stabilizes you. 5 is power or refinement. We also know 5 is a number of change. So power and refinement, you can only gain power through change, truly. 6 is equality or balance. So for example, and perfect, we'll look at, let's say, a 6 right here. So we'll look at the 6 of clubs right here. So if you look, no matter where you look, it's balanced, right? I can turn it this way, it's still balanced. Mm-hmm. It's always balanced. So, and balance is found when everyone is equal. 7, we call it luck, right? Lucky number 777 jackpot, right? That's God. That's in the Nation of Gods and Earth, that's known as God. So that is the divine doing things that we could not foresee. 8, of course, is build and destroy, which is infinity, creation and destruction. 9 is to born or to birth. For anyone that knows numerology, you know that 9 always births itself, or it births the number that is with it. And then 0 we call cipher, which is 360 degrees, your entire circumference, everything that's around you. So when it comes to the numbers, and then you have 10, right, which is 1 and 0. What's binary? What's computer binary code? 1s and 0s. You know what I mean? So it's like it's so simple, right? But again, there's beauty and simplicity. It's simple. I like to say it's simple till it's not, right? So that just sent me
on a whole spiral. Have you watched Young Sheldon?
No.
The show. There's like one episode where he's trying to figure out what God is because this little kid's an atheist, and he sees, finally, he's obviously very smart, and then he sees God as coming as the computer code, as a 1 and a 0, and it's because that's the completion of all things. That's the masculine, the feminine. It's the duality of all things that create the entire universe and all that is, and it just simply is. It just is, and that's what God is, and that's what it came to. Now, do you see a lot of 444s?
I have been seeing 4. I saw 444 all day.
All day?
Yeah. It's funny.
Because when you were talking about the 4, something about that hit with me for you. Describe the 4 again.
So 4 is all about stability. It's all about foundation. So anything that is like, think about the idea of the cubicle, right? Think about a lot of modern buildings. They're very square. The shelf that I'm looking at right here in your room, there's 4 legs. If one of the legs were gone, it would tip over.
But I think you said, what did you say?
I said culture.
Culture
and freedom.
Stability within culture.
Yes.
Is what you said.
Yes.
And a lot of what we're talking about and
Yeah.
doing is how you are bringing structure to this culture.
Yes. That's the goal. I think what artists love about, let's say, label systems and things like that is the fact that it gives them structure. What people love about jobs, even whether they like it or not, is the fact that it gives them structure. They've shown you how to create structure. Now you have to create your own. That's usually the struggle of entrepreneurship, is creating your own structure and creating your own system. So, for those watching this, create your own systems. That's the goal, right? Even with AI and the prevalence of technology, the fact that we can post whenever music and artistry and all of these things, it's about creating your own structure. When you become self-aware, what's going to give you, creating your own structure, creating your own culture, creating your own way of life is going, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
So you are a 4.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a little mini reading to people who are going to watch this?
Yes. So at the time of this video, what's today's date? The 24th? So
It's 1/24/24.
So in Cardology, every date has a card assigned to it. Since there's only 52 cards, a lot of cards repeat. But each day has a card assigned to it. I gotta do some math real quick. Hold on. This would be a perfect time to plug some things if you got it.
Yeah, so we're talking about his brand. So he has this book, The Art of Inspiration, The Highest Human Act, and this is actually his book of poetry that is available at his website, perceptionovereverything.com. And he has amazing poetry in here. There's a couple in here that are like really good. They're my favorites. And he's actually going to read something for us later out of this book. But this is a really great one. And I like mine specifically because he autographed it for me. But it's my message. To Mary, continue to birth greatness in all of us.
Mary do be a good teacher, y'all. I'm just saying, like, look, man. Like, yo, she is definitely a part of my spiritual lineage as far as me learning my shamanic gifts, doing a lot of inner healing and things of that nature. So, yo, shout out to the plug.
I'd like to say you made it easy, but I don't want to lie.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. You were not.
Really? I was a tough cookie to crack.
No, you were not a tough cookie to crack.
Awesome.
In fact, I loved working with you so much, especially we'll get into ancestry later and all that kind of stuff, but there's such a sweetness. I know we see a lot of tough masculine energy and a lot of thought process. You have so much masculine energy, but the reality is that underneath it all, there's so much beautiful, graceful, even maternal energy that's there. There it is.
So each day has a card assigned to it. At the recording of this video is the 24th. So the card for the 24th is the 3 of clubs. So 3, as we said, is a number of understanding, right? It's just if we're talking about numerology, it's the first level of completion. 3 is the first one. 6 is the second one. 9 is the last one.
The 3, the 6, the 9.
And clubs is matters of the mind. So intuition, communication, how you think, things of that nature. So really today, just real quick, is just about, getting a better understanding for your own thought process, how you're communicating to people, how you're really communicating to yourself, and making a decision to not only complete thought cycles that no longer serve you, but also deciding where you want to go. For example, and I love this is what I love. It's so simple, y'all. I promise you, it's just a playing card. But if you look at the 3 of clubs, right? Look at this. This is a straight line. It's not all over the place. It's not a triangle or nothing like that. It's a straight line. So it's literally you walking the path, like quite literally. So that when you understand where you're going, like once you know, knowledge applied is wisdom, and then knowing what you applied then gives you understanding. So through your experiences, you then understand your reality. So it's yeah. I don't want to get too. You know
what I thought?
What you thought?
The 3 is understanding of thought,
mm-hmm.
perception over everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see,
it's
you
you.
Get me, see, yeah.
Your reading today is that you get Naafie.
And for those who look at my logo does have an eye with a crown on it.
Show this shirt right here.
Yeah. So this is my logo right here. If you see, it's actually POE. Shout out to Infinite. He's the artist that actually drew this. Shout out to him. So it's clearly POE. There's wings, of course. There's the crown, and then this is supposed to represent the third eye. You got a 3 right here. You know, I just work here. I'm chilling.
He said I'm not responsible for any of this. It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
I'm just the creator there. So we have such a huge piece with the cardology as what you do, and we're just scratching the surface of that. Like I have so many more questions. Even the secret society that you were in. I'm going to call it a secret society.
It's not secret because it's public knowledge, but... Yeah.
I'm calling it a secret society. I feel like you've been in a couple of these. Which, if they're secret, we don't have to talk about them. I just find them interesting.
Actually, as a matter of fact, no, I haven't been a part of any secret societies. I may have been a part of people who wanted to start some. I may have gotten offers, to be, in some of these places, in spaces. And I know what they know, but I'm not in any lodge or secret society or, I'm not in the Illuminati and all of that. Well,
would you tell us if you were?
I will say though, I am in a private club known as the Global Information Network. It is essentially just a club that teaches you how to manifest your reality and then gives you, essentially presents a system for you to reinforce that. It's been great for me. It's definitely helped me further anchor in what it is I already know and basically confirmed a lot of the things that I already know via some people that may or may not have probably been in secret societies and things of that nature, but they've been gracious enough to teach some of that information to us, less about the signs and symbols and more about just how our human technology works. So you can look this up, Global Information Network. Just look it up for yourself if it resonates for you. You can also go to yourwishesyourcommand.com, and that will kind of walk you through the process itself as well. And yeah, I would highly encourage people to join. If it works for you, cool. If it don't, cool. Look,
it worked for you though.
It works for me. I ain't gonna see
as far as manifestation goes.
Yeah.
But we have this cardology piece. Now we also have this spiritual counselor piece. Mm-hmm. So when people book with you at perceptionovereverything.com, they can book your stage services with the Hip Hop Magi. Mm-hmm. So what would you, just a quick overview, what does your spiritual counseling look like or entail for people?
So Cardology is the tool that I use for those who need it. But my primary foundation, I would say, is natural law. So if you're familiar with the 7 Hermetic Principles, if you know what that is, if you don't, just look up the 7 Hermetic Principles. And real quick, those are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. these 7 laws govern our entire reality as humans being on this planet. And how does God fit into this? God is what's known as the all, the infinite, completely unknowable, but through these laws we are able to do what it is that we do. So whenever I counsel with people, this is my foundation, because this is what's known as, some would call, a master key, where it allows you to explore whatever it is you want to do. So when people book with me, I'm pointing you in the mirror, fam. There's not a whole, like, I'm very cut to the fact, cut to the chase type of person. I want you to be able to source from yourself. My goal as a counselor is for you to never need me again, unless you want to book. Like, I don't, there are some people that need those continuous sessions to further reinforce. Me, I'm trying to give you the tools the first time you see me, and you never have to see me again. So whenever people book with me, that's essentially the goal.
Self-empowerment.
Yeah, self-empowerment. Give you your wings, you fly, and you do what you do. And if you need insight, things of that nature, I'm always here, always have an ear, always able to give, but it's really just that.
And I feel like, once again, he gave us this huge chunk where we've only just looked at the surface like a freaking iceberg, and he's like, okay, there you go. So, for the sake of time, if you guys are interested in learning more about those Hermetic Principles or the Master Key or numerology, or you have any other questions that are popping up for you during this video that you want him to come back and focus on any one topic, just drop a comment, let us know. Make sure you like and subscribe. Look up his YouTube channel. That's also Perception Over Everything. Mm-hmm. And we'll have those links in the description here. So, because that's a lot. I love the Hermetic Principles. I studied that in contrast with the dimensions.
Yes. When
I was doing dimensional work. But that's a whole lot that we actually don't have time to get into right now.
Yeah, that's a lot different too.
But basically, book with him, he says, and he has a master key, and that's that.
I'm not going to say I have a master key.
That is the master key.
That is the master key.
That is the master key.
I just happen to be the one to remind you that it is the master key. That's all. Yeah.
And I really we can touch on one. Let's touch on mentalism, because
yes.
Is this not the Hermetic law that says you are what you think?
The specific, so they have axioms. Axiom is a statement of truth. The all is mind. The universe is mental, held in the mind of the all. The all being what our human minds would perceive as God, the infinite intelligence. Some call it the quantum field. It goes by many names, but it is unnameable. So the idea is that the all is we don't know what it is, but we can liken it to an infinite living mind.
Well, of course, that's what I wanted to touch on, because I love the quantum realms. I'm like, quantum physics, everything, God, the mind.
When it's such a interesting topic, because we use mind to create in our reality, right? So, but we, like you said, thoughts are things. We are what we think about most of the time. All of these things, etc., etc., etc. Before you do anything, you have to change your mindset. Perception of everything, right? So, in Hermeticism, which is Hermeticism, the 7 Hermetic Principles. Hermetic meaning hidden, not the god Hermes. Although Hermes was you see how it can just go?
You are infinite wisdom. That is what's happening. You're just channeling all of these wisdoms.
I just work here. So, essentially, mentalism is the base way on how we create in this reality that we know of. Yeah, there's multiple dimensions and there's higher states of mind and all of these things, but we can only see that through the mind. Demons only come at you through thought and the mind. Subconscious mind and so on, right? So this idea of mentalism is and it's not even just me saying this, right? You can do it yourself and just prove if it's true for you or not. But the idea of mentalism is just that we use our mind to create first. Mind is the first cause, and that the infinite intelligence is a form of mind that we cannot even begin to comprehend. Even if you try, you gonna go in a circle. Like, you can't think about it. Anybody who's like, I want to contemplate the infinite, they sit there forever or go nowhere.
Because it's infinite.
It's infinite. That's why I love when my dad says that knowledge is infinite, because it's the knowing, it's the connection between all things, which is infinite, because you see the cycle.
I see it.
So
yeah. Through your services, you offer Cardology, and then you have your spiritual counseling service through the Master Key and the Hermetic Principles. Mm-hmm. And then we have that you are an artist poet. How do we bring this into our healing services as the Hip Hop Magi?
So I've designed my music to reprogram you. I don't tell people that because for some it might be a lot, but everyone who listens to my music ends up getting reprogrammed. That has been the goal. It's to seed you with the tools to heal yourself.
So explain reprogramming first.
So reprogramming is essentially changing your reprogramming is changing your first instinct. So people's first instinct when something happens is usually negative. Mm-hmm. But the only way to change that is to reinforce a more positive mindset, so that in situations where something happens, your first instinct is now positive.
So where people are sourcing from is from positivity versus negativity.
Exactly.
Once again, this gang versus POE the gang, the light coming into those spaces. Okay.
Which is the principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has its opposites. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. This is an exact quote. That's not me. That's the exact quote from the Hermetic Principle.
I was about to say, we're going down a rabbit hole now.
See, because when you begin to, in contemplation of the principles, you see their unity, and you see it goes, man. It goes.
And then these three spaces, those three things of the Cardology, the spiritual counseling with the Hermetic Principles, and the artistry, poetry, the positive reprogramming of the mind. These three outlets ultimately serve in the intention of the people who come to you becoming conscious creators.
Yes.
So this was something we talked about before we hopped on here, but the intention of you being the Hip Hop Magi, your intention when you step into any booking or any healing session is to create or to help someone become a conscious creator. What does that mean?
It's to help people realize that you are creating your reality, and now you have to take the wheel, fam. That's it. It's just, we're talking about all these concepts that can dive very deep, but the goal is for you to realize that you've been creating your reality this entire time through someone else's programming. Guess what? You're going to clear that out, and now you can make your own program.
Step out of the matrix.
I mean, basically, but these days, some of these ideas are a lot, and have gotten into popular culture. So I try to steer more towards the ancient wisdom and stick there. But yeah, you create your fam. If you watching this, fam, you created this.
This is for you.
You made this somehow, some way. You brought this to you because you wanted something you needed to hear, something I said in some capacity, or what she's saying, or whatever. Now that you know that, you pick the next steps.
So words like awakening, self-empowerment, confidence, all of those ancient awakening wisdoms and things like that is kind of what I'm seeing through conscious creation and being a conscious creator.
Yep. That is the goal.
So how did you get here? What kind of guided you into becoming this sage person that you are and helping others realize their conscious creations?
Through my lineage, just as far as my bloodline. So both of my parents were extremely intelligent, extremely self-aware. as well as going through their own trials and tribulations, and that eventually seeped into my journey. My dad was big into hip hop. He was a part of the 5% Nation. Again, I told you that he was there at the birth of hip hop and all of these things, along with my mother being just having this fantastic level of intelligence and being just extremely self-aware and me, I think, having spiritual gifts that she may not have necessarily have honed just due to circumstance. So coupled with that, I started making music with my cousin when I was about 13 or so, with Mob Q Records. And through this, they were actually asking a lot of critical questions in terms of religion and diving into these things that at the time I thought were taboo because, mind you, my parents were self-aware. My grandmother was also a pastor. So from the Bible Belt, church, we know the vibes. So me not only asking questions in that space and then getting into a music space where same thing, we're asking these critical questions, we're playing around with stuff and just in that musical creative space and things of that nature. And my actual first awakening, I used to, love this song called Nibiru by Ab-Soul. And in this song, he raps the facts of the planet Nibiru, Planet X. I would just encourage you guys to look that up. Video be too long for that. But in the song, he goes through all the facts. My cousin, mind you, I didn't know this at the time. My cousin, he takes his phone and he shows me the facts that this gentleman is rapping with pictures of like aliens and things of that nature and all of this. And I'm just like, it's real? And ever since then, it just, coupled with the type of music that we were making at the time, which was battle rap, but we were also like kind of digging at each other spiritually as well a little bit. Kind of dive. You don't know this. We was on the left-hand path with the rap stuff. we was definitely on the left-hand path.
I was going to say, what is battle rap? How do you dig at someone spiritually? But
so essentially it's just battle rap is, if you can think of two wizards dueling, it's battle rap.
I like that. I saw wands and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, instead of wands, it's pens and rap words. So that's what battle rap is. And then, so doing this, but then also, again, left-hand path. So diving into taboo topics. When really, we thought they were taboo, but the reality is that there was truth there. We just we were unaware.
I love that aliens were there.
Yeah, the Anunnaki and all of that. Like, we learned about the Anunnaki at 16. My cousin telling me about 2012 and all of this, and all of this played a factor into, this was the first spiritual awakening I had. And since then, it's just been,
And there was an initiation that happened in that particular space as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you have time to tell us that story?
I really would say that the process itself of being in that group was the initiation. I want to say that was, because we really didn't just rap. Like, there was very much so a spiritual channeling going on. There was a lot of there's stories that I don't want to tell on camera, but there were just some very wowing type of situations that happened that made me realize that there's more to this reality than what meets the eye. So, it's a lot.
So your first initiation and then awareness of that initiation, awakening, was around 16.
Yeah.
But you had one when you were younger too.
Yes. So, when I was a trouble kid. I got in trouble. I had an attitude. I was all of that. So when I was about 13, 14, my mom moved to Charlotte and was homeschooling me. But the plot twist is I didn't get to go nowhere. So for an entire year of my teenage life, and even when I was with my mom a lot of the time, I was in the house. I didn't get to go anywhere at all. There was no outside. There was no play with friends. There was no neighborhood. There was none of that. It was me in the house. And all I got to do was watch TV, read books, and play video games. So the particular instance in Charlotte where I was like, I didn't get to go anywhere, but maybe I didn't get to go to the grocery store. I might have gone to get my hair cut like once or twice. All I had at that time really was my mom trying to homeschool me, my mom trying to homeschool me, my own thoughts and thinking, which didn't really have any because I didn't have too many experiences at that time, and a PS2 with Marvel Rise of the Imperfects, that is the name of the game, very ironic, right? and a game called Kingdom Hearts. Love Kingdom Hearts. With themes about light and darkness and the heart and, friendship and all of these things. And yeah, I was 14, black, all these things, but that was, for a year, that was my life. So I think that in itself was its own form of initiation because I came out of that very, very aware of myself, but getting, shall we say, lost in that everyone wasn't seeing it like that. So how am I gonna,
During that time period, is this, because, okay, you have an album that came out that you worked on recently, and he has quite a few because that's what he does. He does poetry, he does music, but your last one that you wanted to talk about was Morphin Time. Mm-hmm. So is this something that was seeded or rooted in that particular area that kind of came through and blossomed into music now?
Yeah, originally the Morphin Time EP, I really just wanted to drop a project because I was working with a lot of artists and they were dropping music. So I said, hey, I want to drop music as well. And then through piecing that together, kind of puzzle piecing it, this idea of Morphin Time kind of came about. I had a cover I wanted to use that I thought was really cool. It's like this Power Ranger holding a gun in like a very gangster type of way. Mm-hmm. And the lyrics that I had with it, just playing on this idea that time is a malleable thing. It's not as linear as we think it is, so for example, like you're looking at the past now, the future you're looking at now, and those things are interchangeable. You can heal yourself by looking at your past differently, and so on and so on. So Morphin Time was my way of, in a sense, compartmentalizing a lot of the things that I've been through, understanding what it is that I want. Some things were a little bit more idealistic than others, and also the great I am of the present. One of the songs that I produced myself on the song called Zordon, which if you know about Power Rangers, you know what Zordon represented to them. That whole song is me talking about, God status, but God in the sense of you're a conscious creator of your reality. So for example, one of the verses is generator, operator, destroyer. You choose. You are all three. No need to feel cuckoo. We have to work in harmony to grow, overstand it, and discern those who make you assimilate a standard. You are unique. I don't want to rap the whole song, but it's just essentially this idea of being, going back to the purpose for what I'm doing, is being a conscious creator and realizing like, yo, you are the one influencing your reality. It's not the other way around. And sometimes we forget there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, but it's such a freeing feeling because you are the creator of your life, but there's processes that you don't have control of, which we would call God or the infinite, the all. And
And what I found interesting was that I have listened to your projects. I have for years, but I always thought Morphin Time meant time to morph, time to transform, time to become.
Yes.
But you said it differently right before we hopped on, where you said, no, it's about morphing time, the past, who we're going to be in the future, and who I am right now.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like just so mind blowing. Even before we turned the camera on, he was blowing my mind. I'm
chilling.
He's like, I don't take responsibility for this. But it had this time master element to it that still falls in line with the conscious creator and creating everything that we are in our whole reality. So.
Yeah. And honestly, man, like, time is such a very funny thing. And this, I'll share this story real quick because it's just funny. The Navy has a quote where they say, "Slow is smooth, smooth is fast." Right? So that makes me immediately think about time manipulation. And I actually tried the experiment once at work. I would purposely take my time and not worry about the time to see how time would move. And lo and behold, I found myself moving faster, and time moved by not as fast. So time didn't move by as fast. So time is rate of change. It's the measurement of changes, right? The only reason we know what time is because the sun cycles and changes, and the stars move and cycle and change. So it's this idea that time moves when we do, not the other way around. The reason why people feel like things are going so fast is because so much changes on here. So when you put this down, time moves slow again, which means you have the ability to, I'll make time for that. You'll do what? You'll make? Oh, okay.
I really like that. You can kind of learn how to step outside of time. There's even like a shamanic...
yeah, we talked about this.
A shamanic way of controlling time or stopping time with your mind sometimes. And I'm kind of the opposite of that, where a lot of my time mastery has to do with actually slowing down time and getting a lot done in that little amount of time versus speeding it up and then doing it thoroughly. But it's the hyper focus of what you're doing and your intention of the time you want to do it within as to whether the time seems to speed up or slow down.
Yeah, because, and another thing, especially when you're dealing with quote unquote time constraints, like if you say, I'm going to do this by this time, you usually do. If you don't specify the time, that's when late happens, quote unquote, and all of these things. But when you say this is going to get done in this time, it's usually what happens. So, it's very, time is a very interesting thing. But we need it in this physical reality, because if not, things will manifest immediately and be a lot of temperature.
Why do we not want things to manifest immediately?
Because if you don't have the proper patterns, what you fear will happen immediately. And
because we manifest our fears. Because we are what we think.
Ha 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 ha.
Interesting. I love that. Is there anything else you want to throw in here about inspiration? Because I think you're going to bless us with a poem from your book.
Yes.
But it's literally titled The Art of Inspiration.
So I heard it from Nipsey Hussle, and I don't think it's his quote, but he said that the highest human act is to inspire. So it's not teaching nobody. It's not, what's the meaning? The meaning of life is to spark someone to live life. So that to inspire. So the only way that you can do that, like you can't live somebody's life for them, nor can you convince them. You'll never be a more convincing force than their own mind. So the only thing you can do is live by example. And that alone that spark of like, I'm gonna do this no matter what, whatever, like something about that, like something about authentic expression in someone else sparks something within us. I'm not gonna claim to know it like that, but I know that that is the driving force. And you know, you think about artistry. Artists go places to be inspired. You know, they do things to be moved to act. Think about motivational speakers. Their whole business model is predicated on this idea of motivating or inspiring you to make a change in your life. So the only true means of inspiration is to be yourself, bro. Like, there isn't, like, it's so funny. We look for so many different tools and so many different means to the end and all of this, when like you're just tricking yourself to do it. That's all you're doing. You're just finding some sort of mechanism or thing to spark the change within yourself. For some it's the chakras, for some it's Reiki. For me it was Hermeticism and hip hop and Cardology. For Mary it might have been the shamanic journey, Reiki, other things. For others, it might be astrology. For you, it might be, I don't know. Infinite universe. It could be. We don't know what sparks the interest in you, but that, whatever that is, and you living that authentically, sparks that in someone else. So it's less about good and bad, and more about authentic and not authentic. See that duality. But yeah, like, so the only thing I can really say about inspiration is just authentic expression. And for me, hip hop is all about that. It's why sometimes hip hop music doesn't resonate with people the way certain soul songs do, or certain other genres or other things do, is because many of the mainstream artists, it's not them. That's not their authentic expression. They may be doing that as a means to an end. But when you meet those or hear those with authentic expression, it moves you. Think Tupac, think Biggie, think, Michael Jackson, think Prince, think, some of the most popular artists in the world and in human history have been the most authentic. Kanye. Authentic as fuck. You can say what you want, but that man is himself all day, every day. And look at how many people are inspired by Kanye. Look how many people were influenced by Kanye. So y'all talking about influence. Influence comes with authentic expression. That's how you leave impressions on humanity. That's how you become immortal, through your ideas. And your ideas are only going to come if they're your ideas, not someone else's. So that's all I'll say about inspiration.
I was really thinking about 50 Cent. I like 50 Cent.
I mean, same
really
thing. He authentic. You can't make that up. You can see it. The man, he almost died and came back and said, I'm like, he's himself.
So not to switch gears too hard, because now that I feel like we're coming to a natural space of ending, not to like medium you or anything.
She want to see spirits in me. No,
seriously. Like, I've done a lot of things with a lot of people. I sit with a lot of people. I do interviews with people. But from the moment you sat down, there's just been people in this room. And it was your grandma for a long time. We know she's with you a lot. And then she stepped out. But it's becoming more and more present and more palpable and more like hitting me, where I've actually feel like I've been kind of holding back tears for the last 10-15 minutes. Your dad is like here, and he's getting closer and closer and stronger and stronger. And the more you talk, the more you channel, the more this pride and love feeling and this hugeness starts to take over. And so I'm not trying to like channel, but you know us as people, we don't ever step out of that. Yeah. Like, we just see that. So
you guys know when to turn it down.
When you were just talking about like time and your projects, and then even coming into inspiration, especially as you were talking about inspiration, his energy was getting more and more and more.
Because that was his vibe. Like, it was always he always just encouraged me to be myself. Don't copy these other people. Don't fault, like, don't commit yourself to the way other people want to do things. Do things the way you want to do them. And more than anything, like, at this point, there's nothing, like, I don't have like, recently I've run into what I think is the presence of God, truly, for my experience. And I'm just like, yo, after that, chasing what? Going where? I can make it. Like, yo.
Okay, so I think this story, if you don't mind sharing, might be a thing, because there was so much pride and confidence coming off of your dad. And as soon as you said, I've recently come into the presence of God, he switched sides, put his hand on your shoulder and said, you're doing good, son.
Woohoo!
And he went that way. So it's almost like he's wanting to give you that message, so you know that he's proud of you, that there's just this oomph of energy with you, behind you, pushing you forward. But also, it might have something to do with that story of meeting God and God's presence with you, that he's like, yeah, just, what happened?
So, he actually passed recently due to, he had a lot of trials and tribulations in his own life. A lot of disease and things kind of just sprang up in it a lot. He had the journey was rough on him, but even with that, he came out a happy, inspired individual. People loved him. Even, the people that were in the ICU space, like, they were also loving him because he was just giving them a bunch of good energy, and it was like, they really enjoyed his presence. And after his passing, I'm back home. I'm reflecting on everything. In my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna use this to continue to do what it is that he was proud of me doing, which is what I'm doing now. And so I'm sitting there, I'm chilling. I ain't, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give me some fruit. So I go in the room. I go in the kitchen. I come back. I start peeling me a mango, and I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting there in my room, chilling, and I got this mango in my hand. I'm sitting there like, yo, real talk, I don't need nothing. I got everything I really need right now. I bit into the mango, and when I say it was like a rush, and I just burst into tears, crying, just I'm bawling out, crying, sniffles, all it, like, you see me right now, I'm conversing, expressing things of that nature, but man, I was all of this while biting into a mango. You know what I'm saying? And just this overwhelming feeling of bliss and love and happiness, and just your fulfillment, and like, you're good. You're good. And I find it so, like, I'm a keep sharing the story because it's so funny. I mean, the mango, man. Like, imagine me sitting in my room eating the mango, man. I'm good. I got everything I need. God, like, it's just so funny. Like, it's always It was such a, like, even now I still laugh about it, because I'm like, I'm sitting in my room eating a mango, and I meet the presence of God. Like, okay. I guess it's what it is. And ever since that moment, even with, dealing with his transition, it's been like early, even I was telling them earlier, like, I'm walking down the street to go get some food. I'm cheesing. I'm like happy, like, yo, it's cloudy outside. It's, I think I saw, I ain't gonna tell you what I saw in the corner. But like, I'm cheesing, I'm walking, I'm good, and all I'm doing is going to get the same vegan food that I basically almost always get every time I come to the Raven. But I'm in such a good, happy space. I'm not wishing I had some car or some money. I'm not out here wishing I meant this, that, and the third. I'm not out here like, oh, I don't have this, complaining about no. I'm just good. And like, I guess that's the best way I could break down that story.
That was very inspiring though, because it's almost the presence of God is meant to be experienced. It's never meant to be seen,
right.
And that's why, because it's something that our brains can't process. It's overwhelming. It's a flood that just tells us everything's okay. We're good, and just the feeling and the emotion that came off of that. I didn't have that experience, but just the feeling that came off of you when you were talking about it.
Bruh.
I feel good. That was an inspiration moment. Thanks for sharing that with us.
And I love mangoes.
I'm going to go buy some mangoes and experience God. God says, I am this mango.
And you laughing, but the feeling
real.
of it, you gotta peel back the layers and eat through to get to the seed in the middle. So I don't know. That might be too deep, but hey, it is what it is.
Is there a certain specific poem you have in mind that you want to share with us today?
Yes, I think it is. I don't actually have to read this one. This is one of my favorite poems. I always start off with it, especially when there's a room full of like creatives. It's in the book. It's called The Muse. Music is this muse we refuse to acknowledge. You see, it preys on our desires, turning them into words, hooks, and melodies while we pray and desire for our world to be heavenly. So, Mary, your mixtape better be fire. It better be the best ballad you ever wrote, because it's you who chooses to use the words that we never spoke. The latter is that we try to show you we matter by splattering on beats, for you to hopefully be acquainted with us by the pictures we paint vivid, and that you give us a listen, thereby giving us a living. Because without expression, are we really living? Poem.
Without expression, are we really living? And I love that you said that. So much of what I try to infuse other videos with is about how important expression of soul is in your spiritual path. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have to take care of our bodies, we have to take care of our energy, but that expression of the soul is how we create. So thank you for encompassing all of these things for us, for being that person, and for sharing so much with us.
Yeah, and thank you for having me not only on the platform, but just giving me the opportunity to learn through the medicine wheel. The situation, how we meant to get, for me to even get on the medicine wheel was such a, it was so divinely guided. Our first conversation was crazy because we just talking with one another in such a deep way, and I just met her today, and not at the time of this video, of course, but the day I met her, I had only met her that one day, but yet that day we had such a cerebral conversation that it just, and she was led to allow me to, be on the medicine wheel, and that whole process was just, not only was it needed in terms of the healing, but to understand the tools that are really here for those who are willing to heal and do the work, and just deepen that work with themselves. So thank you. Gratitude.
My honor, of course. Mm-hmm. I just work here.
Y'all be stealing my lines, man, and I'll just be like,
I'm just mirroring. That was you creating your own reality. You were out seeking that.
I'm putting my cards up.
He said we're turning this off.
It's time to go. Definitely hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Like she said, definitely support the brand. PerceptionOverEverything.com literally has links to everything, everywhere. I do have a podcast as well, the Perceptive Thoughts Podcast. It's essentially just me approaching topics from as neutral as a space as I can get it, and hopefully coming to a conclusion as to how you can operate in these spaces. I do have, by the time this video comes out, my latest episode will be out. It's technology versus biotechnology. So understanding your own inner technology. The video. And also how that relates to the physical technology that's being developed by humanity now. So tune into that episode. Get the book. Stream the music if it resonates with you. And book a session if you feel so inclined.
Thank you so much. I think you guys should go there right now to the podcast, to the website, Perception Over Everything, his YouTube channel. Really show this guy some love and some support. Thank you so much for being on, and we'll see you guys later.
Peace. Oh, wait, I gotta do the thing. POE the gang.
You know what I mean? If you're rocking with it, cool. If not, that's cool. DJ, you go ahead right now.
Let's go, Naafie.
Okay, the mama had bright ideas, daddy wrapped up in music. So imagine the gifts if he ever got to use it. But his mom caught a virus that no one saw coming. Dad grew up a warrior and had to use something to cope. Damn sure couldn't go outside, cause the vigilantes, people with the antics, you know how they ride. But in due time they would see purpose so divine, they probably thought it was perfect to divide. Well, she did, taking care of her fetus, the only one, the only son. Thought she had it figured out, only one. Like, perception is everything. And running from the city is a pity. Why she did these things, maybe selfish or misguided, but in reality blinded from mind states that toxicity puts you in. And as it creeps, slow force it connects the end. This is really where the story begins. But if you don't give a damn, I don't give a damn either. No wonder how we can't ever be equal. But fuck it though, if you don't give a damn, I don't give a damn either. And it's harder to scheme when they don't let you have a dream. It's harder to scheme when they don't let you have a dream, So let a nigga dream.
Let's go, Naafie.
Yeah, let a nigga dream. Fuck you, man, let a nigga dream. Man, I've been true to my word. You don't understand, knew I had to drive, but they took the map out of my hands. Libra flow, you should know what time it is, and every time I speak, just speaks to my timelessness. My teachers taught me well, but oh well, no spells broken, never was soft spoken, but opposite, cause opposition always trying it, nigga. I was wild and throwing deaths cause I was upset. I came from the bottom and stuck there, but unaware it's only a figment of our imagination, cause they made us so ignorant. Barely even aware of my plateau. Niggas picked and switched quick and wonder why I'm an asshole. They tell a young and chill, I wonder if they for real. My cousin toting the steel and grandma all of them bills, but show no love, get no love, I guess, man. I'm just trying to speak my piece, but I digress. But hey, if you don't give a damn, I don't give a damn either. No wonder why we can't never be equal, but fuck it though. You don't give a damn, I don't give a damn either. And it's harder to scheme when they don't let you have a dream, And it's harder to scheme when they don't let you have a dream, So let a nigga dream.
Yo.
That one is called